Welcome to Pike's TempPRO software tutorial. This video is intended to be a quick start guide. I'll introduce you to new features found in TempPRO and show you how to set up a profile. Let's jump right in. To begin, we'll start a new profile and call it Test. Next, select your accessory from the drop-down menu. For this example, I'll choose the Falcon. It's a temperature-controlled transmission accessory that I have with me in the lab today. TempPRO interfaces with many FTIR software packages. Choose yours if you'd like to interface TempPRO with your FTIR Instruments software for data collection. Even without using data collection feature, TempPRO provides an easy-to-use platform to program temperature profiles. Now, press Accept and we'll be taken to the profile editor. We'll start by choosing our background collection method. We have three options: collect a background, select a background file, and run a background at each collection point. Let's review each one. Collect a background will collect at the beginning of a run, and this background will be used with all ratioed sample spectrum. When choosing saved background file, simply load the file. Lastly, you can run a background at each collection point. First, select Collect Background, and then select Run Background at each collection point. This will pre-run the temperature profile and collect the background spectrum at each prescribed collection point. Then, TempPRO will tell the FTIR software which corresponding background to choose when ratioing. This option is available only for the ramp and hold profiles. I like the run background at each collection point when running temperature ramps with the diamond ATR because the energy passing through the diamond is a function of temperature. Collecting at each point will help your baseline remain steady and near 100%. I found with other applications, the single point background worked well. So you'll just need to play with this and see what works best for your experiment. Let's select our profile style. There are two options, either ramp and hold or isothermal set point. Let me demo the isothermal set point first. Select it and enter the set point. In this example, I'll use 80 degrees. For experiments with data collection, we'll select the collection event by double-clicking the Thunderbolt. Here is where you can select how spectra are collected. Choose either single time, single temperature, or multiple times. For this demo, let's say we want to collect every 30 seconds, stopping after 180 seconds. Here you also have the option when to start the collection and if you'd like to run indefinitely rather than define a duration. Once finished, press OK. You can easily edit your collection event or accept. Now let's move on to setting up a ramp and hold profile. First, select this option. The pop-up lets us know that by changing the profile mode, we'll lose the collection events set up for the isothermal profile we just did. For this demo, I'll say yes to the question, do you want to continue? You can also start a profile or take a moment to save the isothermal profile. All saved profiles can be accessed later. For the ramp and hold profile, you can add as many events as needed for your experiment. So let's add a couple of events and set up our operating parameters. We'll ramp to 50 degrees and hold for 600 seconds at a ramp rate of 5 degrees per minute. Next, let's program 100 degrees at a ramp rate of 5 degrees per minute and hold again for 600 seconds. You can double-click these settings to edit. Notice that we can view our profile graphically in the plot to the right. The next step, add our collection events for triggering data collection from TempPRO to your FTIR software. Double-click the Thunderbolt circles. The red one is to prescribe data collection on the ramp, and the yellow is for the hold period. For the ramp events, we can choose data collection as a function of time or temperature. I often collect spectra as a function of temperature on the ramps and time during the hold periods. We'll collect every 5 degrees, starting with 20 degrees and ending at 50, where the hold begins. Select Accept. To set the data collection during the hold time, let's double-click the yellow Thunderbolt. If you're running a background at each collection point, the only collection option is at the end of the hold time. If collecting a background once at the beginning of your run or by using a saved file, the default is a single collection at the end of the hold. However, simply remove this default by selecting Remove, and then you have collection options to choose from. Either at multiple times, say every 30 seconds, for example, or at one specified time. When setting up your profile for data collection, it is important that you do not forget to program the collection events at the ramp and hold segments. This will result in collecting no spectra. It looks like we're finished. The Set Point tab. Let's visit the others. In the Time Temp tab, we can specify the frequency of time and temperature reporting in the TempPRO log file. Accessory tab lists the controller parameters for the accessory selected. Depending on the accessory, you may or may not have access to these fields. We recommend running with the default values. The spectrometer tab shows the spectrometer selected, if any, and lets you set up the file naming scheme. Fill in the root name and choose whether the file name is appended with temperature and a timestamp. Below these options shows an example of what the file name will look like. Spectra data directory is where the spectra are saved. If saving outside the default folder, be sure the operator has permission to write to this folder. Once you are done, press Save and Exit. We have now left the profile editor. To view your profile in text format, select View Profile on the main toolbar. If later changes are needed to your temperature profile, just go to Edit. We have one more step before we start our experiment. Check that your accessory is online and the spectrometer is online when setting up for data collection. When either is offline, you'll see the icon is grayed out or has a red line through it. If the accessory is offline, I'd check that the controller is powered up and that the USB is connected. If the spectrometer is offline, again, check the power of the instrument. If running without data collection, we expect the spectrometer to be offline. When programming TempPRO to interface with your FTIR spectrometer for data collection, be sure your FTIR collection parameters, such as resolution, spectral range, number of co-added scans, are saved in your FTIR software's experiment file before running your profile. We're ready to run the profile. If you have TempPRO set up to collect background at each collection point, you'll see a background and start button at the bottom left of the main screen. To start the background collection, press background. A TempPRO pop-up message will alert you when complete. Then load your sample and press start. If you have selected use an existing background file or collect a background once, you will not find the background button along with start. We will only see a start button. Press this to start the temperature profile. A pop-up message from TempPRO will tell you when the temperature profile is finished. You can easily check the temperature profile progress during a run by selecting Scan Progress button. Also, when operating TempPRO 7, you always have the opportunity to build a new profile or open an existing profile. Okay, now that we have our test loaded and we're ready to go, in this case, I'm going to collect a background at the beginning of the profile and use that for all subsequent sample spectra. So we're ready to press start. Up in the corner, we see the scan progress table. And you can see down here, it gives us an update that the background is in process. And now we're starting our ramp. And you can see the set point is now at 50 because that's the first leg of the ramp. At any time, I can hide the scan progress. So that gives you an idea of what to expect when you start your temperature profile. I hope you found this demo useful. Please contact us if you have any questions about TempPRO or your Pike accessory. Thank you for watching today.